The White House is blasting the media, saying they took the president out of context. It's over Trump's comments yesterday about heat, light, and disinfectant. And here's what he said.
So supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning along? So it'd be interesting to check that, so that you're going to have to use medical doctors.
And here is the president reacting to the media coverage and saying he's not encouraging anybody to inject disinfectants.
I was asking a question sarcastically to reporters like you, just to see what would happen. Now, disinfectant for doing this, maybe on the hands, would work. When they say that something will last 3 or 4 hours or 6 hours, but if the sun is out or if they use disinfectant, it goes away in less than a minute.
All right, Greg, I watched this thing live as it came in, and to me, I don't think he was being sarcastic. It looked like he was just spitballing ideas to knock this thing out. What do you think?
Well, there's a couple of ways to look at this. There are two things that don't matter and one thing that does. Was it off the cuff? Maybe. Doesn't matter. Was it sarcasm? Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't matter. What matters is that anyone actually believes that he was saying you should inject Clorox into people. I mean, 1,000 days with Trump plus as president, and we still have an entire industry mobilized by an offhand comment. How can any adult seriously believe that he was saying, hey, people should inject Clorox into their body? I mean, I get wanting to believe that because you have a pre-existing condition to believe the worst about everything that comes out of Trump's mouth, or to believe the worst about anybody. Really, I would challenge the media one day to look at somebody they don't like and try to assume the best of their comments. But I can't believe that they're actually interviewing experts. So just tell us, you can't put Clorox injected into your body, can you? I mean, people, this is actually a news cycle. As other stuff is going on, this is hilarious.
Yeah, I think Lysol released a statement over social media. Juan, can you try to be fair here? You cannot believe the president was telling Americans to put bleach down their throats.
I hope not, but I mean, that's what I heard, but I hope not. It makes no sense, Jesse. I think, Jesse, I think when you said spitballing, I think you're right. I think he was riffing. Today, I thought he tried to get off the hook saying that he was being sarcastic. The press secretary said he was taken out of context. Well, you can't do both, so you got to pick one. And the thing is, for me to see him at the White House in the briefing room saying something like that, and believe me, there was no gotcha question. There was no question at all. He was just, as you say, riffing, spitball. He just came out with this stuff. And I think it's, to some extent, for people who are listening to him, I think it's upsetting and dangerous. Greg says it's the media, but I just think the president needs to be presidential. And saying something like that, I think it invites disaster.
Well, I'm having Dr. Birx on my weekend show, and I actually asked her, you were there, Dr. Birx, do you think the president was saying anything dangerous? And Emily, she said no. She said he was probably, as he does, thinking out loud and trying to come up with a good idea and just talking to the person at DHS.
Right. I mean, you guys, it's how Heather #1 was killed in Heathers. I feel like it's pretty obvious you shouldn't drink bleach or the like. That being said, Los Angeles and Maryland have literally reported that they've been inundated with calls, their public health agencies, of people inquiring about it. So, who knows? But I think it's safe to assume, unfortunately now, that he has to clarify all of his comments. And I do think, however, that the president's continued comments at these briefings undeniably just offer fodder for his detractors to sort of attack, and then we discuss it in the news cycle. And it's up to his team whether at some point they're going to make the call. It's no longer benefiting him.
Mm.
No, I still think it continues to benefit him, but obviously that was a big distraction, Dana, from some pretty important news from DHS Director of Science and Technology that outside in the light or in high temperatures or high humidity, it has a very detrimental effect on this virus.
Yeah, I think one thing that, just setting aside all of this and this thinking about the science and some developments, there are some companies and scientists that are working on using UV light as a disinfectant for like an airplane, for example, or something that people would go through to touch, like when you're going through the TSA lines. And if that is a development that could actually work, that would be a good thing, not just in regards to coronavirus, but for a whole host of things. So hopefully, if that development actually does come to pass, nobody is making fun of those scientists because we do want to have developments here. And I would also say if I had to take a choice between saying that he was taken out of context, which I think that he was, or being sarcastic, I think I'd go with the taking it out of context. But the media is always looking for that. So it's one thing that about the media, but it's another one. I think the social media piece, like the individual people, and immediately there's memes and there's fun, and everybody jumps on it. That's going to happen if you don't have a really tight announcement, but that's also just not who he is. He wasn't suggesting that people drink bleach, but also these companies, the companies weren't necessarily putting out statements because of what the president said. It's because if somebody does it, they'll get sued. So that's one of the reasons that you do that, is because you have to worry about your own situation when the media comes after you next, because somebody decides to do something with your product that was inappropriate.
But you know what, Dana? I noticed in one of the companies actually was responding to reporters asking about it. So it was like the reporters went to the head company to say,
right.
Yeah, can you, whatever, is this unsafe? So it was the next layer of the story. We also have to remember that when Donald Trump talked about sunlight and talked about the summer and the seasons changing, that was declared as non-scientific. Remember? Am I just remembering that?
The thing that's strange, though, is that why is Singapore seeing an uptick then? That's the thing. I just don't feel. I feel like every day we get, like today, we got 6 new symptoms from the CDC. We find out more that there's there's increases in Singapore. It's like hot and humid there. So I just feel like we still just don't have enough information, and we're 5 weeks into this, and we all want to get back to work and back to the city.
Everybody could be indoors.
Maybe the people in Singapore aren't social distancing, and maybe they're not taking it as seriously as we are. All right.